of the Cape Cod, of the Midwest wild. They're trading the concrete for the Turtle Boy style. Two fearless warriors, hearts made of steel, on a YouTube mission to keep it real. Mark and Jeff, yeah, they're taking the crown, the baddest duo to ever hit this YouTube town. Mark and Jeff, they're calling, the stakes are high. Underneath that heavy Wisconsin sky, they aren't just creators, they're battle bound. Changing the game, keeping their feet on the ground. The mics are on and cameras are rolling. The Madstork clock is counting the views and collecting the wins and doing it without sins. From Applewood Tuck to the woods of the Cape Cod of the Midwest wild, they're trading the concrete for the Turtle Boy style. Two fearless warriors, hearts made of steel, on a YouTube mission to keep it real. Mark and Jeff, yeah, they're taking the crown, the baddest duo to ever hit this YouTube town. Maplewood Grid turning up the Door County heat. Mark and Jeff, they won't accept defeat. Click that button, join the fight. The Madstork flock are taking the lead tonight. Oh, Mark and Jeff, come join the flock and hit the share. Subscribe and like.
So can you hear me, Mark?
I can hear you, Jeff. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So now we'll...
I just can't see you, man. I mean, that is my benefit. There you go, man. Look at that.
Look at that.
Look at this. I'm sort of like feeling like a real professional. I got headsets on. I got this purple microphone, which I'm not too excited about the color, but
you are styling all of a sudden in this whole thing.
Yeah. What are you doing to me? I go around the house talking like I'm on a microphone, and my wife thinks that's a little weird.
So we had quite a weekend that we like I said, when I told you when we started, we don't want to really get political, but there's so much political stuff going on, and I don't want to really touch on it, but we got to touch on it because another attempt on our president.
Crazy
it's crazy stuff. It really has to stop. I mean, just the hate is just incredible. It's just incredible. And so hopefully people can come in here and we can just settle all that hate down. And we probably won't today because we're going to talk about a couple of people I dislike a little bit. We're going to go to their stream and everything. But there's one thing I wanted to, now, the story I've told you many times about the house owner where John O'Keefe was found on the lawn. The house owner was a Boston cop, just like John O'Keefe. And he was butt dialing throughout the night. And he said it was a butt dial, but people believe that he was talking to people, of course, mainly his ATF agent friend, Brian Higgins. And last night on, I got to see if I can share this, okay? Just hang on. It's not a very long, okay? It's just a very short. But, there's always been a whole bunch of, people have different ideas of what's going on in that house. And on the stand, Brian Albert, who owned the house, said that it was butt dials because he was having sex with his wife.
You got to understand, why would he pick butt dial as a descriptor if he's having sex with his wife? That's a little weird in itself.
I don't know. So what we're going to do is, I think, Mary B, who is, one of my favorite people, I think she probably said it best last night on the Red House Media. And let me see if I can get this right. And it's just real short. It's a real short explanation of what was going on in that room, okay? In that bedroom.
Ferocious butt dialing sex. Like, there's no telling what could be heard on the other on the other end of the line,
I bet she wears the dildo.
There you go, Mark.
Oh my gosh.
She summed it up, I think, for all of us, is what was really going on. And so
has this guy been known to say crazy stuff or fraud? He's a liar.
Yeah, you got to understand that they were telling lies after lies after lies, and they just, came on stuff that I think they thought would be believable, and none of it is believable. But what came out of their head, out of their mouths, I mean, nothing. And they're going to do a civil suit against Turtle Boy and Karen Reed. There's 4 of them. It's Brian Albert, Brian Higgins. Brian Albert is the guy that owned the house. Brian Higgins is his ATF agent friend. And then Jen McCabe, who has been the best way I can sum up Jen McCabe is she knows what happened. Okay. She knows what happened.
And what is her relationship? Isn't she married to or sister of somebody?
Brian Albert's sister, the one that Mary B said that was strapping on, is the sister.
Okay.
All right. And then the last one is Colin Albert, which is Brian Albert's brother, Chris, his son. And he's the one that and they can sue me. They can come on. But he's the one I believe threw the punch that maybe John O'Keefe stumbled upon. Just stumbled as soon as he, probably got hit in the back of the head is what I'm thinking.
Right.
And he fell and then probably hit his head on something concrete. Now, could that have been the fireplace in the house? No, I think they were in the garage. And I think where he fell, in the garage, probably had a cement ledge somewhere. And I think he hit his head there. That's my beliefs. Because Colin, as much as everybody believes that he didn't do anything, when he drinks, he's a tough guy.
And of course, the lead detective on this, he never went in the garage to look and see if there's any blood, any hair, any tools that he whacked him with,
No.
So you can't. Yeah.
They didn't go in the house at all because they didn't have no reason to go in the house, Mark.
Oh, absolutely. No, there's just a murder out in front yard. So why would you want to do that?
Somebody's dead. So you in the front lawn, but you don't, I was talking to all my police friends here where I live. And I said, what's the first thing you do? And they said, we're going in the house to see if anybody's hurt. That's number one, to try to find out, what happened. But is somebody hurt in the house? But, there's a recording of Jen McCabe, and it's kind of funny how it happened. I guess they had been trying to call a phone, and a phone was live and was recording in the vehicle that Jen McCabe was in. And there's background voices. Jen McCabe's asking, are you coming out? And evidently they said no. So that what had happened is I think she was calling inside the house saying, are you coming out to help? But now you got to remember, and I sometime I got to get that up too. Brian Albert said that he didn't go outside to help because he's a Boston cop. And what did you want him to do? Run out there with no clothes on, with just his underwear?
That's how I would do it.
If you're a first responder, Mark, and you're living in a different area, you're still running out to check out what's going on your lawn. If you're a first responder to help, you're not going to sit there and say, well, I'm a Boston cop, I'm not in my right jurisdiction. No, you're not doing that. But he did that because, again, they knew what happened. And I don't think they, in the beginning, Mark, I don't believe that they did it to set up Karen in the beginning. I believe what happened, and then they moved John O'Keefe's body to the outside because they were having a snowstorm, big one. And I think they thought if they put him close enough to the road, to the street, that he would have got hit by a snowplow. And I think they were going to put it on the snowplow guy as an accident. Now, this is the only thing that I just don't understand, Mark. They're cops, all right? ATF agent and Brian Albert's a cop. Why wouldn't you just say, you know what, there's a fight? It happened. Accidental. They're cops. I mean, they went through all this and the people were trying to cover up. Wouldn't it have been easier to cover up if they just came clean and said, yeah, there was a fight, mishap?
But they were hammered. These guys are intoxicated. They're hammered, you know. And I know how you get when you're hammered, you know, so I can just imagine.
I mean, it must have been just crazy thinking about what was going on with them. And I just don't know, you know, there was a bunch of things they could have done. And then this, you know, lead investigator, but now they're saying that he was the officer. He wasn't lead investigator. Of course, they're trying to distance themselves from that because
then who was
Michael Proctor is such a, you know, ticking time bomb, which everybody's finding out now. You know, Mark, he was, you know, when Alan Jackson asked him that question, do you go through everybody's phone to check for nudes and all that kind of stuff? And he said no. And he said that, I mean, he said that right on. Now they're finding out that it dates back 10, 12 years. He's been taking domestic abuse women, people that had problems that way. And, you know, when they have to undress and show bruises and all that kind of stuff, he was taking those pictures and passing them along to his high school buddies and other people, you know, breast and whatever. And he's been doing this for a long time. So it all comes down to, you know, is he capable of planting stuff like the taillight that wasn't there when they were going with the snow blower and all that on the snow? They couldn't find the red pieces of taillight, Mark. Come on, it was snow. It's white. You're going to find that red pieces immediately. And they said, and then all of a sudden, you know, after they get the vehicle, Karen Reed's vehicle, 10 hours later, whatever it was, they find the first pieces of the taillight. Now, I think it was Emily C., another content creator. She put it on X, and it's true. It reminded me a long time ago when they were telling the story of how these pieces showed up. It reminded you ever see that Shawshank Redemption? What was that movie? Shawshank.
I've been to the prison.
Oh yeah. Well, you remember when he was doing his, you know, drilling of his hole and everything, and the rocks, he had to take them out in his pocket, and then
Fuzzy britches.
You know, I think that's what they were doing with the pieces of taillight. They broke the pieces of taillight, and then the cops went and walked around on the lawn later, and then all of a sudden they started finding these, you know, and then they had this, you know, he's no longer alive. He died of cancer, this police chief that had the Coke bottle glasses, and he's driving by the house and he found like the bigger piece of the taillight. Come on, Mark.
Yeah. You know? It happens all the time. That's the way it works.
So Michael Proctor, you know, but the sad thing about this, Mark, is that we'll probably, unless somebody is charged, and right now the DA is just as bad, and he's going to be out now, but he's just as bad. His name's Michael Morrissey. He's just as bad as the rest of them of this whole thing.
Do they have a short list of who's next up to be accused, or they don't even care? They just
they know who it is. That's why they don't want to go any further. You know, they thought they were going to pin it on the girl. You know, let's pin it on the girl. And that's what Proctor said, you know, when they asked, you know, one of his friends said, is she going to get out of it? No, not a chance, you know. But they've been doing this for so long that they were confident that they could set her up and there'd be no fight. But they, you know, they let a 5'2", 3 girl, a foot girl, 115 pounds beat them. And now it's all coming out, everything for years, what's been going on with Massachusetts State Police, the Canton Police Department. Canton, I guess the Canton area is a pretty nice area to live, the way they sound. And then to have, you know, this corruption, it's just crazy. It's crazy stuff. And now, you know, as we move forward into the civil stuff, you know, Karen Reed and Turtle Boy are at odds. And some of the people that have caused the division, along with Karen, it's a sad thing because Karen needs to realize that with Turtle Boy and Turtle Boy's followers, she was stronger, where the team was stronger.
Is there something specific that's dividing them?
Well, in the beginning of the division, they said Karen was told that that Turtle Boy recorded her without her knowing it. Now, this is the other thing. Now, everybody there's some anti-Karen Reed people that are horrible. They want Turtle Boy to fry. They don't like Turtle Boy, the way he acts, the way he uses the C word, the way he just, tells you like it is. All right. There's people that are completely against him, and they will do anything to get him in jail. And that's the sad part. So knowing that, Mark, and this is the way I feel about it, and I'm not a turtle rider per se. I watch Turtle Boy. I think Turtle Boy's very smart on the way he does his content, the way he does his show, because when you have 160 some thousand plus people following you, subscribing, and members and all that kind of stuff, you're doing something right. And what he is he's real, and that sells every time. Hands down, everything else. If you're real, and if you got a point, and if you're comical with it in places, it sells big time. And he'll talk about his life and everything else. But I'm telling you right now, if I was in his situation, and I think you might agree with this, if I was in a situation where I knew everybody was out to get me, okay, and somebody calls my phone, I'm sorry, I don't care if it's a two-party state or not in Massachusetts where you have to have the other person's consent, I'm hitting the record button. Because I don't know what's going on with anybody. I trust nobody.
What about me?
No, but I mean, if I was in that situation, I would trust nobody. Okay. I would record all my conversations because I'm not going to get nailed with anything. And I think what happened to him, he's become that. And there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. I believe that you should be able to protect yourself no matter what. And they find out, as you go along in the story, that this Tully, this state trooper Tully, who was he was the supervisor to this Proctor and everything. He got one of Turtle Boy's ex-girlfriends, and they started making up a story about how he raped her and all this kind of stuff. And he got put in jail. And they find out that Tully was a big part of this. And he also had his hands on this whole John O'Keefe thing. And not only that, but now you branch off to the Sandra Birchmore story that I told you about. He had his hands in that, along with Kevin Albert, who's a cop in Canton, who had his hands in this. So, I mean, the Birchmore and this Michael Morrissey will not, to this day, he will not put a charge against the guy. The feds had to come in and put a charge against the guy that they suspect killed Sandra Birchmore. The county wouldn't even charge this guy, even though they had all the
investigation for that.
Yeah, he was under investigation. They kept on saying nothing to see here, and he had 40-some thousand text messages to this girl talking about how he wanted to have sexual contact with her when she was 12. I mean, come on,
that's not right.
Oh, now I'm back. That echoes back. What did you do?
How's that better?
Yeah. What did you do? No,
I got bored. I started clicking.
Don't click no more, okay? So, but that's when you look at this story, it just won't end because there's just so much going on, and I really do fear that we'll never find out who killed John O'Keefe. The only way I think you're going to find out is if you start charging some of these cops. Some of these people that were involved, you start charging them.
Trying to get somebody to flip.
That's the only way I think you can do it. If you get somebody to flip, to start talking, then you'll find out. But I believe that Colin Albert. Now, there's a lot of people that believe that Karen, the ATF agent, because he was sweet on Karen, and Karen and him had some sexting going on, and it's just crazy that she went after this guy. But that's on Karen. And Karen wouldn't tell anybody about it until it happened in court when people were finding out during the trial. She didn't tell anybody. She didn't tell Turtle Boy about this. that she kissed the guy and all this stuff in John O'Keefe's house. So, it sounds like maybe John O'Keefe was doing some cheating, and it sounds like Karen was trying to cheat, and Higgins took it as like she was really going to like end up with him and all this kind of stuff. So he was sweet on her. So a lot of people believe that he was the one that had the means, to hit John or whatever, and maybe caused him to fall. I don't know. I still think it's Colin Albert. I believe that he is the little schmuck. Because he was the one running around. Oh, I know, on the court, on the stand. I've never been in a fight. And also Turtle Boy found some videos, and then he's on a video drinking. Now this kid was 17, 18 years old. Mark was plowed on a video, and he was talking to some, I don't know what they were, some kind of hockey team or whatever, and he's drinking with a girl, and he's going, I'm coming after you guys. I'm going to come after you guys. And all of a sudden it stops, and all of a sudden it goes bang bang. And it's on the internet, and this is the kid that said, I don't get into, no, I'm perfect. And he was a football player. I guess he was a pretty good football player, and dropped out of college, dropped out of football. Pretty good sized kid, 6'1", I guess, 215, and
wanted to be a gangster.
Wanted to, drink. We've seen a lot of people like that had unbelievable talent that got on the sauce, and then they couldn't stop the sauce, and I've seen it, even coaching some young kids that grew up and who I believed had unbelievable talent in the area. And, they got drinking, and, they loved the party more than they loved the game a lot of times. And that's what I think, in this Chris Albert, this is the other twist that I didn't tell you about. So Turtle Boy, this is when I actually first started watching, because I found Turtle Boy through something else. I forget who I was watching, but I think it was Tommy CPU, the guy is called. And I was watching him, and then all of a sudden I heard Turtle Boy's name. So I just turned it on to watch Turtle Boy one night, and he starts talking about Chris Albert. This is the brother now of the guy that owned the house, right? He owns a pizza place in Canton, and Turtle Boy's talking about him, and then Mark, he brings up, and Chris isn't suing him, okay? Chris ain't in the suing. This is his son is, but Turtle Boy brings up, well, Chris is a murderer, and he starts talking like that. So then he brings up that in 1994, I believe, Chris was driving and killed a college student with his vehicle drunk, took off from the scene and hid, I guess, for 36 hours. And then you look at so then you just dissect into that, and Turtle Boy did. So the person that represented Chris Albert back in the day for that, and get this, just so you know, this is another little twist. Chris Albert spent 6 months in jail for that.
For vehicular manslaughter, or what was he charged? You only get 6 months?
I don't know what he was charged, but guess who represented him? The brother to the judge that was the judge for Karen Reed.
Coincidence, maybe.
And they tried to get her to move herself off the bench, and she wouldn't do it. She said that she could be fair and all this kind of stuff. And it came out that she was renting her house on the Cape, I guess, to family members of the McCabe's. I mean, it was just a crazy stuff, and she wouldn't get herself off the bench. And so, the fix was on. I believe the fix was on, and the jury just didn't see it that way, and it had to piss everybody off. Right now, so they're trying to save face, I think, right now, and so they're going to sue Turtle Boy and Karen. But people can have, as sad as it is, and we've seen this over the weekend. And like I said, I don't want to get to the political side, but I want to talk about the fact that you can say whatever you want sometimes because of the First Amendment. But Turtle Boy gets on and talks about what happened. And so they're going to try to sue him for words that he said. And it's like over the weekend here in Wisconsin. People who haven't read it, go read about the Minocqua, Wisconsin brewery, the guy that owns it. He's talking about how he would give people free beer if President Trump was assassinated. Now, I believe totally in the First Amendment right. I believe that if I want to call you whatever, and I can back it up, I should have the right to say what I want to say. But, and I don't mean that we should, I understand he gets the First Amendment right, but I just think as a human being, Mark, as a human being, you have to be able to not say that.
Well, apparently this guy, he's got a history of talking shit all the time. I mean, not only is he, again, my First Amendment right to call him an idiot is there, but apparently his beer is shit too. So, I mean, his product is terrible and he's a terrible human being. So I heard if you drink his beer, you're going to get some action coming out of the wrong end.
I guess in the sad part about it, stuff is coming out where he was touching his waitresses and he was having contact with his waitresses. And it sounds like he brought people over from a different country to work for him, right? And he put them up in a house. They didn't have like beds. I think they had one bed. I mean, it was just crazy what he was doing. Plus, he was a part of the super PAC money for Biden or whatever he was doing for the Democrats. He tried to run for office in Wisconsin. It didn't work. But none of the Democrats, I don't think. Now, you might have read something today. I'm not sure. But I don't think any of the Democrats have come out and said anything about him.
No, well, they don't support him. They want to be as far good, bad, or indifferent. Right. They want to criticize him. They don't want to boost them up because he is like kerosene. He's an idiot. And luckily it's localized. He's up in the Northwoods of Wisconsin, as we call it. And it's pretty isolated, but he is what he is, Jeff. I think you nailed it. Say what you want to say, but guess what? FOFA, right? Consequences. Right. He can lose his business. That's all tourists up there.
And I think it would be great if the people would do that, because stuff like this, like I said, I'm all for the First Amendment right. I'm all for it. But there's just sometimes you got to look at yourself as a human being and being a good human being or being a completely horrible human being. And anybody to wish death on somebody that he doesn't even know, that he doesn't even, and I know maybe I'm talking on both sides of my mouth because I said I watch Turtle Boy and sometimes he says stuff, where he hopes somebody that has cancer. And I guess at one point, Turtle Boy said, I forget who the person was, had cancer, and he got on a show and he said, well, I hope cancer wins. But also, my belief is Turtle Boy's mom died of cancer. All right. So Turtle Boy hates cancer. I hate cancer. My mom died of cancer. And I had a little bout, with some cancer. And so, I mean, I've never got angry enough at somebody where I wished them death, but, I mean, the stuff that I went through, I'd never wish on anybody. I don't care if they're my enemy or not, but, there's other people that do say stuff like that, but to come out and say that you'll give free beer, free pours for President Trump if he's come on, you can't do that.
His product is shit. I mean, so that's sort of a penalty. You got to drink my beer and suffer through it. It should be, hey, I promise to not give anybody my beer if that happens. That'd be more of a motivation.
And like you said, that's a tourist area. Minocqua is a beautiful area up there. It's in northern part of Wisconsin, north central, and it's beautiful. It's up in near the Rhinelander area. That whole area is just beautiful. And I live in one of the most beautiful places in Wisconsin. And I say, even up there is even beautiful. So, so it's something that somebody can get away with saying that. But there's a lot of things. I mean, even when when President Trump's motorcade was leaving that dinner, did you see that lady that tried to get in front of it? And they had to arrest her? I mean, it was like, what are you guys doing? Stop it.
She found out that it was a bad idea. She spent the night in jail.
I've never seen, and maybe because we never had, news is right in our hands with our computers now. Back when we were growing up, we didn't have all this, the computers and instant news and all that kind of stuff on our phones. And maybe that's the reason why I never noticed. But I don't remember me and you even growing up, even in high school saying, well, Mark, you're on the right and I hate you. I've never heard people talk like that about politics when I was growing up. And like I said, maybe it is because of all this instant, gratification with our phones and everything. But I mean, it's just, he's going to be in office. He got elected. And just like we had to sit through, all the other ones that I didn't like or whatever, you just gotta let the process go and do what your right is and vote them out next time, and I like, it's kind of funny because there's a lot of them. And the thing that I don't, here's my biggest thing about people that represent us at the state level and also Washington. I don't believe, Mark, and I'm all for somebody making money, all right? But I don't believe that you can go in with $90 in your checking account as a representative and all of a sudden a year later you're worth $9 million. I don't think that's right. I don't think you should have any inside to trading like Pelosi did, and I don't believe in that. I believe they should be kicked out immediately. There should be no questions at all. Out. And because that's not what they're there for. They're there to represent us. Like the Democrats say, vote Democrat because they vote for us. Well, guess what? They're not voting for us because all of them are voting for themselves and making money.
Well, and you look at, Republican and Democrats. Republicans aren't voting to pass the bill so that they can't, they're taking the money too. It's really crazy. But for a quick second, I want to dial back to, to basically what you're saying about the guy in Managua. Hate speech is hate speech. Do you know about this guy who's Hussein Piker? Have you heard his name?
No, I haven't.
Look him up later. This guy is right now getting on all these different talk shows. He is an extremist. He's a Marxist leftist, but he wants the end of the United States, but he's talking about the assassination, river to the sea, all this bullshit. He wants, Trump killed, but these people are giving him airtime. I guess I'm giving him airtime by mentioning his name because he is a terrible human being as well. He is a piece of shit. And again, we talked about what I would like to see happen to him, and I won't say it because that wouldn't be a good thing. But the guy needs to have like chronic diarrhea and only have maybe sandpaper, toilet paper. That's what I wish upon someone like that, where he's just in pain. But his name is Hussein Piker. Look him up. And he's on all. What's that?
Where is he from? What state?
He's out east someplace. I think he was born in Jersey. He went to, I think, Rutgers or Harvard or, one of these Ivy League things. But the guy's just a piece of excrement. And they cause, all this irritation. They get these no-minded people like the one this weekend. The guy was brilliant, but he had a switch that someone figured out how to turn on, and he did something really, really bad.
Yeah. So that's our political statement this morning, and I apologize, but like I said, I'm sick and tired. The last part of this is that, when the people, even on the right, when they say, okay, this is where we got to stomp them, we got to put them in jail, we got to put them in jail. None of these people go to jail. We always threaten that they're going to jail, but nobody ever goes to jail. Like this woman from Minnesota, she won't go to jail. Even though she's lied on her taxes and everything else. That's the other part that I don't like. If you're going to say that, the right side, then go through with it. Go through with it and put somebody in jail. And if you're on the left, and it's the same thing. If you catch somebody on the right, put them in jail. Don't sit there and talk about it. Put them. If once you start doing something against these people, maybe it starts to clean it up. Is the way I look at it. Maybe not. So, but that's our political for today. And like I said, I wanted to talk more about, the big news in Massachusetts with this Mike Proctor. He doesn't want any of his phone stuff to come out, and I wouldn't either. You're saying that, he sent text messages, Mark, to his buddies and then his cop buddies everybody was on this text message saying it's kill an N word today in Canton. A
That's
cop.
not what he meant, though. Come on, Jeff.
I mean, it's just, how can you have a cop that you're supposed to trust saying this stuff, and then that it never comes out, that he wasn't fired for it. He sent it to his superiors, and he's never been reprimanded and I mean, it's just crazy. So I'm going to fast forward this to, I want you to hear, there's a guy out there from LTL Media. It's called LTL Media. And I forget, it's live talk. I don't know. Somebody can tell us probably in our chat that, but anyway, his name's Brian, and I got to find it here. I want to show, he's a guy, Mark, that kind of put Karen Reed on a pedestal. Okay. That he like fell for her like she was a movie star. Like he started making posters of her so he could put them up in his house. And I think he thought he was going to date her in the end. I
got a poster of you, Jeff. So just see.
So I think, but he was on the last night, I believe it was, and I was watching him, and I was like, he started to talk, Mark, and you got to really watch what he's doing, okay? And you got to know the backstory about how much he thought Karen was a superstar. And he started talking about the incident about Karen Reed coming on to the ATF agent. Okay. And I'm going to just play a little bit of this, and I want you to watch how his whole attitude changed. I think as he read, he was getting disgusted and mad that Karen Reed.
That's a good thing.
And it was hilarious to watch. It really was. Let me see if okay, here it is. So we'll get this up, and I just want you to watch. It's not going to be that long, but so we'll go ahead and just watch a little bit of this. But when he starts talking about the incident, okay, because I'm catching this after he asked, he goes, can I have a minute? He had to take a drink of water. That's how disgusted he was with this. So here we go.
The nurse says, I think Brian Higgins approached John as soon as he got through the door, and there were probably some loud voices and chest pounding when the dog attacked. I like that theory. I like your theory. So it goes on to say, at approximately January 12, 2022, Brian recalled getting a text message from an unknown number. The individual contacting Brian turned out to be Karen Reed. The two began a friendly text message communication, and eventually both John and Karen invited Brian over for the last New England Patriots game of the season on January 15, 2022. Brian recalled arriving late into the second half and joined John, Karen, and a few other friends in John's home. Brian stated he walked into the home using the front door. After an evening of drinking, Brian stated that he was leaving the home and attempted to walk out the same way he arrived. When Karen suggested that Brian leave through the downstairs garage, according to Brian, Karen offered to show Brian the way and walk him out. How romantic. While walking through the garage, Brian stated to Karen Karen had made an advance on him and surprised him, with a kiss on the lips.
That's where it goes.
That he was very shocked by Karen's actions and confused by the entire situation, since he was assuming that Karen was in a loving relationship. Bro, she was coming on to you and you couldn't get the signs. You couldn't do it. And we saw a lot of that through the juvenile texting of, and I don't really give a shit.
I don't really give a shit.
Karen's her own person. People are their own people. People are going to talk to people. People are going to do their own thing, whatever. But it's like, look, all the signals are there, bro. And you flopped. You flopped. The chain of the events led to Karen and Brian's further communicating over text messages. Believe me, there was nothing in there that I felt like it was like a teenage kid actually texting back to someone that's like, all right, let's do this thing.
he what's sad about this is that he really got upset because anybody that's telling you that story, okay, when they go, well, I really don't care. Why did you put that in there?
I think Dusty Rose, she might have it right. He really did want Brian. He might have switched teams there for a little bit.
So, hey, look at that. You can see the chat.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I don't know. I can see that. I just can't chat. I can't respond.
Well, there should be a box
verbally.
It should be in the box in the bottom where you can type.
That's so. That's from. I can't do that because I'm a cheap ass and I didn't sign up. I'm on the free version.
Dusty, where are you in Louisiana? By the way, are you close to Kingston, Louisiana? Because that's where my boy, for Tracy Broussard is from. He's from Kingston. His dad was the mayor.
Well, I got a real boy. My son is in Monroe, and I'm going there in 2 days. Eat some crawfish. I think they're in season.
So we got to find out that. So maybe he does want Brian Higgins. No, that's Central. She's in North, so she's probably near.
She's
Monroe.
near me. Or Monroe. Yeah. Go visit Cy and the group at Duck Dynasty. Whack some gators. I guess it's gator season in Louisiana, and they got a bayou nearby.
Is that true in Louisiana? Like when they're doing the crawfish, crawdaddies, they put like everything in a great big tub.
Oh yeah, last night.
What in the
ate
world?
Some crawfish.
But what are you doing? Putting it in like a big dirty old tub and cooking it up?
No. It's just like it's just like a fish boil, Jeff. Big cauldron. So you put everything in there and you cook them up, and then you peel them, and then you make some jambalaya. We had crawfish etouffee last night. Frozen crawfish aren't as good as fresh. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
Any store?
What's that?
Where do you get crawfish?
We brought them back. Oh, you can get them, but you can't get them. We peeled them down there. But Dusty Rose, you're right. Monroe is a trash hole. My son lives in a nice suburb north of it, but he's doing that data center. So he's there for 4 years. And there's nothing going on in Monroe. It's not pretty, but he's in a little town north of that, which is pretty nice. But
you cook everything with the kitchen sink. So they walk in the kiddie pool.
Yeah, you put them in the big tub. You run cold water through them, so you flush them out. Their system, and then they're alive, just like little lobsters. And you put in the seasoning, and you boil them, and you get the potatoes and everything. And oh man, it's so good.
So are you close to Shreveport?
Shreveport is about an hour and a half, 2 hours to the west of Monroe.
My sister lives near Shreveport.
She lives there now?
Yeah. Her daughter is actually a police officer in that area.
Oh my God.
Detective, I believe. But I spent a lot of years in Arkansas and I never had crawfish. Never.
I can't believe it.
Now I've had frog, where I actually went out gigging for frogs. And
we gig for frogs too.
But I never had anything like that. So, but she's also in law enforcement too. Well, is that interesting? So, but so anyway, Tracy grew up in the Kingston area and then moved to Nashville back, I guess it was 94, 95, something like that, and started drumming and everything. So I want you to bring me back some. I want to try. So what do I got to do if I don't want to cook all this other crap that you see them putting in the tub? How else can I cook them? Just in
Are you telling me you don't like? Do you like the andouille, the sausage? I used to call it andouille. I don't know why I thought maybe it was fancy in French.
I do like
andouille sausage. You put that in there. You like that?
Let's cut down on the sodium, and there's a lot of sodium in that stuff. Unless you can cook it, I guess.
Well, you can get crawfish.
Make
Go
sure
to that Chinese restaurant down the street.
China. No, she just said China crawfish suck.
Oh
That's-
no, yeah.
So you're wrong, Mark.
No, I was saying go to the Chinese restaurant. I don't know where they get their crawfish.
Why can't you just bring me back some frozen?
Jesus, Jeff.
Well,
Because you got to have it fresh. You got to have fresh, frozen.
when you get back from Louisiana, and don't say you're not, because I know I heard the phone conversation. You're going to be in this area to where you can drop off the crawfish.
We're going to go out and eat it. There's a place called Crawdaddy's, I
know,
think it's called, right by his house.
And get some frozen, put it in a nice cooler, and bring them back to me. I want to
killing
know
me,
how to
brother.
cook them in that situation, though. Like last night, how did you cook them?
We put up, they were frozen, so we thawed them out, and then my wife made a roux for the etouffee. It goes in a roux and then over rice, and cook it up in that and put it over rice. And the roux was awesome.
What is
the
that?
crawfish were fishy though.
What is the rule? What?
Oh, there's a bunch of shit that goes into making a roux.
Oh, okay.
We got it from a guy who is from Shreveport, not from Shreveport. He's from Baton Rouge. His name is Johnson Hebert. So you got to say it. So he calls himself.
Is that Bobby Hebert's brother?
What's that?
Is that Bobby Hebert's brother?
I don't know.
Oh,
but Johnson came up here. We brought him up here to go to the Packer Bear game. Showed him how to shovel snow and everything.
Okay.
Uh-oh. She'll mail you some fresh Louisiana crawfish. Well, they're frozen. They ain't fresh anymore, but I'll send recipes too. I would love to see those recipes. I love other people cooking for me. My wife's a great cook. She can put it together. Awesome. So
I need to send me an email at Jeff Stone Voice, Voice, VOICE at gmail.com. And I'll send you my address. Just tell me what I owe you, and I'll pay you. Because I really want to know how you do it. And I can't. I mean, Tracy wants to invite me down to Louisiana, but the thing is then he always takes it back and everything.
What?
Yeah, he takes back the invite. He'll go, not this time. He'll say, yeah, come on. Next time I go. Then he'll go, not this time. So
that's
Bobby
too bad.
Bob Ebert lives in Baton Rouge in a townhouse next to my mom. Oh, wow. Bobby used to be a quarterback in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
And so I knew that. I mean, he played for the Saints and probably played for somebody else too. But the most famous quarterback I know out of Louisiana, one of my favorites as a kid that I watched when I was growing up. I mean, I love this guy. His name was Burt Jones. He was the Rushton Rifle. And
did he go to jail?
He played quarterback for the Baltimore Colts. And he was an MVP.
He was a big guy.
He was a big guy. And I think he got hurt, some injuries, and then it kind of ruined his career. But he was also on a very bad football team. But I loved that guy. And he was from the Rushton area. And they called him the Rushton Rifle. And the guy had an arm that was unbelievable. But there's a lot of people, a lot of good athletes that come out of Louisiana. Tracy went to the Raging Cajuns, which used to be
oh my God.
I forget what they were called.
LSU?
No, LSU is what are the LSU?
Tigers.
And Tracy's was Louisiana Lafayette, and they're called the Raging Cajuns. Now I think it's just Louisiana. And Billy Cannon, was he from there too? Wow.
Who's Billy Cannon?
He was another guy that played. I mean, there's a lot of people that come out of Louisiana. It's got to be one of the most populated like sports people. If you, I mean, even currently, like all the like Justin Jefferson from the Vikings is from that area, and so there's a lot of NFL people that come from that Louisiana part. So anyway, but yeah, I want to make this crawfish, but I want to make it so that I don't have to put all that crap in it.
Well, it's complicated to make the roux. You know, it's got a lot of stuff going in it, but Isn't there? There's got to be a place in Green Bay that's a Louisiana. I can't even say it, Louisiana Cajun style cooking. They had a couple here in the Appleton Neenah area that were really good.
Well, now I got Dusty going to send me some, so I'm gonna make sure that I give her my address and have her send it on up, and I'm gonna make it myself. But I'm not gonna make it with. She's gonna send me recipes, so I can always delete some of the things that I don't like. I got to watch my salt intake. I'm getting older now, so I got to watch that salt intake a little bit. But like I said, I want to try to. They say that they're really hard to eat. Is that true? To peel and eat?
No, they're. It's just a pain in the ass because you don't get a whole lot for the effort, but you get them down. They're like little lobsters. You peel the tail. They got a tool. I bought a tool that works actually pretty good. That pops them right out. But you can get them already peeled. You can get them, whole, and you got to go through the mess. They're messy, but I'm flying out Wednesday. Friday night, I'll be sitting down and eating some crawfish.
So you're flying this time. You're not even taking the truck.
Not taking the truck. 16 hours. We're like, okay, we found a decent deal. Actually, it's nothing goes to Monroe. It's either connects to Dallas or connects to Atlanta. So the prices are not real favorable.
So where are you flying into then?
We'll fly into Monroe, but it's just everything is usually $700-800. But we found a deal somehow. I don't know how that happened, but we got some Cajun. Johnson sent some Cajun seasoning, and we got a big jug of it. It's I don't know how it's different from the other ones, but he says this is what you use. This is what a real Cajun boy is putting in his. It says grandma's recipe too. I can get you that.
Wow.
But we're having a boil.
I've had some Cajun seasoning that I could buy locally. I don't know. I know I mentioned whatever it was to Tracy, and he goes, "That's not Cajun." That's all right.
Old Bay or something is like a popular, but this is that we got. I could run upstairs and grab it, but show it to the team that we got going on to Dusty and see what she thinks of it. But I'm getting hungry. What time is it? I want a beignet is what I want. That's what we want, Jeff. We're diabetics and we want beignets.
Is that a pastry?
Oh, it's so good. It is by. Yeah,
so
it's a pastry.
So that's no good. You shouldn't be eating that, Mark.
I don't care.
You got to stop the whiskey and you got to stop the beignets.
It's rye. I want a beignet. I'm going to be. There's a place in Monroe. It's really a cool place. Great coffee shop. They do a beignet. They do some other breakfast things. I'm going to be there Saturday morning before I fly home.
You get the Tony, and I'm not even going to try to say that name. Seasoning. I don't know. They're like they're like fried dough with powdered sugar. Yeah, there you go. That's what you need. Mark. So do you got the recipe so you can make them at home?
I don't. I'm not going to mess around. I'm just going to go to the people that know how to do it. They're experts at it, and they kick them out, and I eat them up.
So if I don't want to put everything into a boil and they're cooked already, so what can I make them with? Can I just make them with butter?
Probably. Oh, you mean crawfish?
Yeah.
You probably could. I mean, I'm not an expert on all the varieties of recipes, but it's a jambalaya. You can put them in your jambalaya. You can put them in your like etouffee is my favorite. You know
what that is? I got to look that up and find out what that is. That etouffee.
Yeah. Etouffee. It's fun to say too. It makes you sound like you're sort of.
I can't believe you can actually say it.
Took me a while. I had a guy from Denmark correct me because I wanted to say it someplace else. Here in Menasha, there was a place that made great Cajun food, and that's when I said andouille instead of andouille.
Okay, she said that they'll be cooked. She's going to send different recipes. All right, that's all I need. And then I can finally test them out and see how to. You know who's really a good cook is my I always call him my caretaker because he's always with me, but my buddy Tom.
Oh, Tom can cook?
Oh my God. He's spent years as a bartender on the side, making extra money. And the places that he worked at always had, they had to cook. And the guy can cook like crazy. So I'm sure he can cook this stuff up if you send a recipe. The guy is, so I'll just make him cook for me. I do call him my caretaker, so you should be able to cook for me, right?
Yeah. I might even do you another one here since we got Dusty Rose sending you some crawfish. Next time I'm in Minneapolis, there's a place called Kamarchek's. Shout out to Kamarchek's off of University. And what's that other street? What it starts with an H? Pretty popular. You should know it.
Hennepin.
Almost on the corner of Hennepin and University. European style sausage, but they make an andouille sausage that is just phenomenal, and they got it in different spicy. Do you like hot sausage? Do you like it hot?
I do.
Okay, maybe I'll find you some, and I'll get you some andouille to add to your jambalaya and your gumbo. Gumbo's good, yeah.
I eat a lot of it, but I like that kind of sausage and everything, so I'm big into that. But Minneapolis, that was a great time. I went to school out there and worked out there, and I love that area. It was just a great area, and that's where I fell for the music of Prince. I got a chance to see Prince live so many times at a place that he owned, First Avenue it was called, and Morris Day and the Time played there. It was just a hopping place when I went to school out there, and beautiful land of 10,000 lakes, great fishing, which I don't fish because I figure, why would I go out in a boat for 5-6 hours and try to fish when I could go to the store and get a fish right away and bring it home and eat? Why would I spend it out there? A good friend of ours, rest in peace, Dean Schleiss, he tried to teach me how to ice fish. And after the first time going out with him, he learned that, remember when they had their own meat market?
Schleiss's, in Forestville.
Yeah. And he would, after the first time going out and me complaining that we weren't catching anything to eat, he would bring, the next time he brought like cases of hamburgers and hot dogs, and we were sitting out there in that shanty, and we're doing this whole ice fishing, and I was more like, hey, I want to eat the hamburgers. Come on, let's get them cooking. And it was a lot of fun doing that ice fishing with him, and I miss that guy. He's the guy that did my studio, soundproof my studio and everything where I do my voiceover work, and did a heck of a job. He deadened that room, and he did it when he was fighting cancer, and he was wearing his pouch. And it was just, he was in there sweating, and I said, Dean, you don't have to do it. And he said, no, I promised you I would do it, and I'm doing it. You got it done. And
he was a good guy.
When it came to building and cover, doing cabinets and all that, he was perfect in his things, and he wasn't shortchanging me in the way he was doing the room, and because he was just one of those guys that had to be perfect. So, but that was something. So
did you ever see Bubba Marchant?
Do we have white perch?
No, we don't have white perch. We have yellow perch.
Oh, yellow perch we have. All right.
White perch is good too. White perch is good, but you ever run into Bubba Marchant?
I don't.
Oh, I was you'd ask him about how I smashed up his brand new snowmobile flying across Little Sturgeon Bay with a case of Pabst in my lap, and I hit an ice shove, and everybody went flying. I had beer scattered from here to across the bay. But ice fishing is fun. They don't do that down south.
Not much ice, huh?
No.
Learn from a great aunt who is a true Cajun. Well, look at that. Like to fish. So
fishing.
Crazy. So I can't wait
fishing for crappie this weekend too. Up in Monroe. Yeah, my son's got a duck boat, like everybody in Louisiana's got a duck boat. and he's got a bayou, and they're catching the fish right now. So I might do a little fishing.
All right. So when do you get back from that? Because we got to think about our next show. I'm double
getting back
today, I think, by the way. I think I got to go in with Tracy today, too, and talk about the draft, the NFL draft. So
I might have to listen to it because I didn't follow it all. I'll be back Saturday, so Monday.
Okay,
Monday or Tuesday or something.
Monday or Tuesday will be the next show for Mark and I. I think, like I said, I just got to watch. I'll put a thing up. I got to contact Tracy. I know they were in Oklahoma over the weekend because now it's starting the touring season. And they do Oklahoma this past weekend, and then he leaves on May 4th. He leaves for Vegas. And
that's what he said. Yeah.
They'll be out in Vegas for 3 weeks doing stuff at I forget where they're at, but it's a 3-week stay out in Vegas with him and his boss, that little known guy from Ada, Oklahoma. And
no one knows him. Never heard of him.
So he's
damn mullet.
So, but I think we're supposed to do a show today to kind of follow up on what the Cowboys did. Cowboys had a heck of a draft. I know you didn't check it all out, but the Cowboys had a heck of a draft. The Packers, not so bad. They didn't have a first rounder, but they got some good quality people. I think that are going to.
What about linemen? They needed some offensive linemen. What?
They got one, I think, and then they brought some free agents in. They didn't take the guys that I wanted. There was a guard from Notre Dame that I wanted, and then there was a tackle from Northwestern that I wanted. The guard from Notre Dame went to Tampa, and the tackle from Northwestern went to Minnesota. So not going to want to see that tackle because I think he's going to be a beast. But so anyway, all right, well, she's got to go to work. Dusty, thank you very much. Send me an email, jeffstonevoice@gmail. I'll send you my address, and if I owe you anything, just tell me, and I'll send you some money through a Venmo or Cash App, whatever you had, and we'll take care of it because I'm anxious now to have some crawfish. See, Tracy's never offered to send me crawfish when he's been in Louisiana. That's a horrible friend. Been friends with him for 23 years.
No kidding. I'll take a picture of my plate of food when I'm eating it.
Well, thanks. Appreciate that.
And the beignet. I'll show you the beignet because you know damn well I'm eating a couple of those things.
Mark, you shouldn't eat that.
I know that, but you know what? I'm going to do some exercise or something to keep my sugars down.
You might as well have a malt to go with it.
That's not a bad idea. I do like to eat. I'm trying to stay off the breads, but that doesn't happen too much. You just have a nice slice of toast.
The breads are the worst when it comes to following because that carb is just horrible on people with type 2. It really is. I mean, it lasts for so long before it starts going down. It's just a long. So yeah, it's bad. One day we'll get into all that kind of stuff where, what they put you on. And I found out that like that metformin that they usually use to keep the sugar.
That's what I got.
It's horrible. That's a horrible drug. It's a horrible drug. And so, I mean, sometimes I think it's better, and I know people would argue about it. Sometimes I think it's better to just get on a little bit of insulin and control it that way instead of having that metformin. But one day we'll get into that. So as we come back for Monday, Mark, I think what we'll do, I think there's going to be this week, there's going to be a lot more to talk about. We haven't even got into the Kelsey Fitzsimmons stuff yet. And that's where, she was the girl that, her boyfriend, fiance, put a restraining order against her, went and took their kid. And she, hasn't seen her child for 13 months or what it's been. She still hasn't seen him, even though she got out of the, charge that they tried to charge her when they went to get the child of pointing the gun at one of the cops. And she got out of that, was not guilty, but she still hasn't seen her kid. So I think we're going to find more about that coming up that we'll have to talk about. We're going to find more about Sandra Birchmore and that story. And I'm sure we're going to have a lot to talk about yet with Proctor, what's going to come out of his phone. So we just appreciate everybody to like, share, and subscribe. Please, we just want to keep on moving up with subs. I want to get to where I can have members. I don't know what what has to happen. I think you got to have 500 subs before you can have member. I don't know. I got to read all about that stuff in YouTube, and then to monetize, I think it's 1,000. And you got to have so many hours of views, and we'll get there. We just got to keep moving forward. We're a small channel, and we'll get there. And we just got to keep moving. And Mark needs tips. He's got his Venmo out there on the screen here. He's got to have tips. He needs new lighting where he's at. He's got to have some new lighting. He needs a desk
new
lamp.
lighting. Jeff needs a new hat.
My Milwaukee Brewers won yesterday, so I'm good to go with the Brewers today. And then the only thing I need is I love microphones. I just
do.
I got to have the nicest, the newest, and being able to check them out. So my tips will all go. I'll tell you where I go with my money. It's going to go microphones. It's going to go probably mic cords, and I don't need much more lighting. Do you like my lights in the background? I don't know if you can see the cop.
I do like the lighting, but you got to get somebody in there to organize your cords for you. You're going to hurt yourself. All those cords.
You don't like the cords? Oh no,
I don't like the cords all over the place. Your cords to the right of you have to get organized. My wife, I was not a good housekeeper, and all of a sudden I've turned into this neat freak. I'm going to go and vacuum and dust when I'm done here. But you got to start picking up, Jeff. You got to get those cords organized, man.
Good. And we got a sponsor today, Choice Mobility. It's a local place that drives around people that need rides, older people to medical, appointments and stuff like that. Choice Mobility. And if you're local in the local area, Green Bay, Door County, Kewaunee County, all the surrounding areas, if you need a good medical ride or a ride to go to work or a ride to go to the store, grocery shopping, Choice Mobility in Door County will handle all your needs. We appreciate Tom being a sponsor. And as we go, I want to get more sponsors so I can talk about people. And it'd be nice if we could get like a nice insurance agency.
There we go.
To sponsor us. I don't know if you know anybody like State Farm, something nationally that would come in and say, "Hey, we'll give you $5 if you talk about us." So
I don't have a national, but I got a couple local cats that might.
There we go. Hey,
talk smart about it.
$2.50 for me and you. That works for me.
Hey, it's a cup of coffee.
That's like an old fashioned, isn't it?
No shit. Old fashions down here are at least $7.
Oh, well, then we need $15.
There you go.
So, all right. Well, I guess that's it. We did the wackadoodle of the day, pretty much as the guy that you mentioned, that Hussein guy, and we did
that Hussein guy, but something to put on the calendar as we're talking about, one aspect of the Karen Reed and all the connecting spider webs on that. But, else that's getting crazy out there, we mentioned her a couple of weeks ago, is that the state auditor, she's trying to do her job. And now I guess she got some information and some numbers. The SNAP fund, 12 million there. And then there's another 7 million of fraud. There's sort of like that Nick guy. As she starts to peel back the Band-Aid, she's finding out a lot of crap in the state of Massachusetts. And then here's a piece of shit. I maybe it's going to be, instead of wackadoodle, just a POS. There's a judge in South Carolina where she or somebody was being prosecuted for child molestation and pornography, a true pedophile, was supposed to get 60 years. She gave him 1 day.
Ooh.
Yeah. Caroline, let's see here. Deidre Jefferson. Check out Deidre Jefferson, and she is a horrible. See, it gets back to these judicial people that are not prosecuting. Yep. What you said earlier. So we'll be talking about Deidre a lot more,
Seven, are you here? Are you in here? I don't know if she's in here or not. J7 or whoever else can tell me. Mark and I were talking. We want to know how we can do that Amazon wish list. I don't want to do Amazon wish list, but Mark was wondering how you do that Amazon wish list because he was watching Turtle Boy last night and he saw it. And I don't know. Do you just put it? Do you make the wish list and then put it in the chat? What do you do with that?
I don't know.
Is there in it? I don't know. So I need more information on that too. If J7 or somebody else can give me that information, because the only thing I would do wish list from a place called Sweetwater. It's called sweetwater.com. I would do my wish list from there because there's a couple of things I really need. And it would all go back into my streaming and into my whole YouTube thing. That's what I'd be, using that for. But I don't know how to do that. I don't know how if they put it together and they just put it in the chat or I don't know. I don't know how to do it. I guess that's why maybe we need some mods for our whole YouTube thing. We hire some mods, give them wrenches, which I got to figure out how to do that. And then they help us with all that kind of stuff, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe.
But the only thing is sometimes the mods turn on the people.
What is a mod? Can you explain it for our listeners?
It's a moderator. The people are in here know more about the mods than I do. But evidently they kind of control your chat so that nobody gets out of hand. They can delete, they can block, they can, put them in timeouts. And, they just kind of keep everything going. They look
it's
up
an individual that does this. Is that what a mod is? An individual? Okay.
And I thought that they get paid, but evidently some of them said that they don't get paid. They just do it.
They do it for fun.
Yeah, they do it for the fun. So I guess we need somebody like that to just kind of, help us out getting this thing rolling a little bit better. Right now we don't have, hundreds of people in the chat. Right now we can do it pretty much on our own, but that's something that we got to look into. But anybody else have any information on stuff? Send it to me. Just let me know what your thoughts are. You can reach me at jeffstonevoice@gmail.com, jeffstonevoice@gmail.com. And any kind of help. All these people that are in the chats, they go around and they listen to everybody. All right. We can only listen to, a few people in our days, but these people are going around listening to a lot of people. So if you got to, I don't want to copy somebody, but if we're all going to talk about the same thing when it comes to Turtle Boy, Karen Reed and Sandra Birchmore and Kelsey Fitzsimmons, of course, we're going to do things, that are kind of like everybody else, but we're going to try to put our own twist on it. We're a couple of knuckleheads. Just remember that when you're here, we're a couple of knuckleheads trying to just be some kind
more of a knucklehead,
as we're presenting. All right. That's all we are. And if you get mad at us because we said something, don't take it so serious. We're just being, sometimes we're trying to irk somebody on a little bit, but don't take it so serious and tell us that you didn't like it. If you don't, we're going to mention some political stuff, but we're not going to go off on a political, rant. And
we're equal opportunists when it comes to talking crap about somebody. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
So, and I'm still working on my AI pictures. I tried to, show Mark pushing me around when I was in high school. He used to tip me over a lot in the wheelchair.
Jesus, why are you such a liar? I only tipped you over once. I used to trip you, though.
What is it? Yeah, one of his favorite things to do was to put his foot in front of my front wheel of the chair, and then I would fall over frontwards, and he thought that was just a funny thing as I rolled around.
Liar.
He goes, "Oh, look at that, retard." That's what he used to call me. And that was my middle name.
I'm going to sue you. You don't have to worry about listeners suing you. I'm going to sue you for slander and everything else. What the hell? I can't believe you talk that shit.
We appreciate everybody that's going to check this out later. And I found out as you check this out later, they're called the replay people. And I appreciate you replay. But please share, like, and subscribe. And please get the word out on X, Facebook. I've been doing a little bit more on Facebook. I'm going to try to actually get a Facebook page for Mark and I. Like I got one for Over the Line with Tracy and I want to get one for us on Facebook. So we're going to do a little bit. I'm sending today's feed today. I'm sending to Facebook to my page, and Mark hopefully will link it to his, so we get more people to think about.
So I can forward that on. Yeah.
So we will do that. And if you want to find me on Facebook, it's Jeff Stone. I forget what my picture is. It's not too hard to find me. My picture on there, because I'm sure there's it's one of my caricature pictures is what it is. It's me in the headphone, I think. And so come on, let's get you in my Facebook, and I'll add you there. You can watch. I don't go on Facebook much, but what I do share on the Facebook is basically my dog Tracy. Share some.
We were going to get dogs on today.
Speaking of that, you got a chance, real quick, to tell everybody what you thought of my little dog.
I like the dog. It sniffed me. It didn't hump my leg. All good things, that it didn't do. Yeah, it's a cute puppy.
Dog. He gets some jumps. Yeah. I mean, he's a friendly dog and cute little thing. And Mark got a chance to meet him for the first time. He was here. And like I said, it's hard for me to have him here when I'm on because he likes attention. And it's because, when he is here, it's just me and him. So he's used to that, and he wants my full attention. And if you don't get it, he barks a lot to let me know. And if he doesn't bark, then he comes over and he hits me with his paw on my foot to let me know and everything. So where's your dog? Is Stella there?
I'm trying to whistle her down. Stella, come on down. Here.
Let's
if I say
Stella
popcorn, she likes treat. You want a treat? Give me a beer.
Do you ever take the dog hunting?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right, because that's why you got her, right?
No. Well, yeah, sort of. I got her from my son's dog was her dad, but when COVID struck the first month, we were out in Seattle and brought her home from there. The problem is when I go duck hunting is the people I go with, they sometimes bring kids along, and she wants to play with the kids or she wants to go swimming. So she's not so good of a duck dog. She's got a great nose, great retrieve, but she wants to play. That's a problem. So I'm taking her pheasant. She does a pheasant.
Wow.
She knows how to hunt up a snack when I drop it, though.
For some reason, I lost my mouse, and I can't figure it out where it's gone to, Mark. It's just like gone.
Check on your desk.
It's just it's not working for some reason. So anyway, but so I guess we'll be back Monday, me and you. And like I said, look out for later today. It would probably be around 1:00 Central or 2:00 Eastern. Tracy and myself will be back to talk about the NFL draft and the Cowboys and the Packers. And then also talk about Vegas, because he will be going to Vegas with Blake Shelton, and he'll be drumming out there for 3 weeks. And anybody that's close to Vegas or going to Vegas in the next 3 weeks, please check Tracy and the guys out. It's going to be a great time out there. And he's usually walking around before shows, just so everybody knows. And if you're out there and you see him, run up to him, tell him, hey, I watch you on Over the Line. And Tracy's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. So I would definitely, get him to go up there if you're going to be in Vegas and get a chance to talk to him and all that kind of stuff. So, all right, Mark, well, you have safe travels to Monroe, Louisiana on Wednesday. And I don't need you to bring me back any crawfish because Dusty Rose is going to handle it for me. And
I'll get you some seasoning.
Get me some seasoning. That'd be great. And some sausage. If you can find me some hot sausage. That'd be good.
Marchex in Minneapolis. You bet.
If you ever get out there, whenever you do go out there. And because I like that stuff. So, all right. Well, you have a good day. All right.
All right. You have a good one too. Thanks, Jeff. See everybody. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you later.